Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Her Royal Highness Tengku Ampuan of Pahang, Tengku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Skandariah, our distinguished guests, fellow presenters, my Museum Pahang colleagues and team, and members of the hall. It is indeed an honor and a pleasure, but more importantly, a huge responsibility to be standing here in front today to present on the narrative or the working narrative of Muzium Pulau Beram with the theme Pahang and the Seas. So on behalf of Muzium Pahang, we aim to explore through the presentation of Muzium Pulau Beram, the role of Pekan Pulau Beram. Okay. Pulau Beram. Thank you, Tunku. All right, Pulau Beram. So we're trying to explore the role of Pekan itself and Pahang as a port city, as well as its connections, position in the Malay world, as well as its connections to the wider international maritime network in the Maritime Silk Road and also the Indian Ocean world in general. So a little bit of introduction to Muzium Pulau Beram. It is a project we started around 2021, 2022. So basically, we already had previously a gallery of maritime transport at the same site of Pulau Beram, sorry. It's going to be hard, okay. Pulau Beram, but the idea of rebranding or revitalizing this museum is that we want to look beyond the presentation of artifacts. So basically, we want to look at the curation of the site itself and the whole complex of Pulau Beram. So we're not just focusing on the artifacts, but also the whole landscape. For example, if you can see here, even the trees that we choose to plant is curated. So basically, these ones reflect the wood that are used in shipbuilding. So even the whole site itself is curated. We have also amenities as a complementary element of the museum. We have cafes, playgrounds, and also working space. So this museum is not just a museum or an exhibition of artifact, but also you say the social space or public sphere for people to come and enjoy and have and visit in Pulau Beram. So this is an overview of the interiors of the gallery itself. We have one side of the museum presenting the artifacts of the traditional boats that we have in Pulau Beram. Oh yes, the museum is not, it's a work in progress. So we're gonna, yeah, it's not completed yet, and we're planning to launch it in 2026, inshallah. So which is why, you can see still things are still being worked on. We have the positioning still not completed yet. And then we have the other side of the museum itself, where we plan to present the narrative of Pulau Beram, which also include some of the replicas and presentation of artifacts. And we have a section on this side where it's going to be designed as a working space. So we'll have books and tables for people to work there as well. Right, so that's a bit about Muzium Pulau Beram, but my main role here is actually to focus on one of the important functions of museums in educating the public. So we are going to focus on the narrative of Muzium Pulau Beram, because obviously in this day and age, museums are more than just guardian of artifacts. We're not just keeping or preserving artifact or history, but museums are now seen as a space for people to find inspiration. It's a place where people go to explore cultures, and most importantly, some people go there in search for identity, which is why exactly we're all here now, to uphold the identity of this riverine or maritime culture heritage. So for Muzium Pulau Beram, we plan to include all these components, but obviously with the insights we gathered from all the presentations today and tomorrow, we can include much more things in the presentation of the narrative itself. So we're going to be looking at the local history of the place, of Pahang, of the Malay world, at the same time focusing on the tangible and intangible heritage that we have in Pahang and in the Malay world. Right, a little bit about the historical background, which is what Tuan Kwes also pointed out just now. Yes, I think there's like a lot of confusion of how to pronounce the name Pulau Beram, including myself. So, Pera, yes, that's where I'm from. Right, so we believe that Pulau Beram takes its name from the nearby palace. At the opposite of Pulau Beram is actually where Istana Kota Beram used to be. Pulau Beram takes its name from the nearby palace named Kota Beram. But that doesn't tell much about the origin of the name itself. So we actually have looked into historical records and see this name being recorded in various manuscripts in Malay historiography. For example, in Tufat al-Nafis, it's Pulau Beram is actually one of the names of an island. And then in Hikayat Aceh, there are a few places where you can find the name Beram being used to refer to different things. For example, it's one of the name of the gems, Manikam Beram. And then you have Beram, actually one of the name of the fort that controlled the estuary of the Aceh. So you have Kota Beram. It's actually the picture of the manuscript on the right side, where it says bahawa Raja Portugal minta Kota Beram itu, bahawa Kota Beram itu kota yang mengawal Kuala Aceh. So it's like, it's one of the things one of the names denoted by the name Beram. And then another example is Beram being used to refer to one of the name of the elephants that serve as a royal transport. So that's a bit of what Pulau Beram means. Okay. Sorry, Pulau Beram, yeah, Beram. So Pulau Beram itself is situated in Pekan, which is located near the estuary of Sungai Pahang, or Kuala if you say it in Malay. So this particular geographical feature is important because Sungai Pahang itself is actually a part of a riverine trading network connecting the east and the west of the peninsula via Penarikan route. So it's an important part of the Malay Peninsula because you cross this Sungai Pahang to Sungai Muar via this Penarikan route. So it's part of an important route for the traders itself. So it provided direct entry to the interior of the state. And then, not just beyond the geographical feature, Pekan is actually the royal town or the seat of the rulers. So this is convenient for the traders because usually or traditionally, foreign traders who entered the locality would usually have to first lead themselves into the presence of the sultan or the ruler of the locality. So, for example, there's a record of a Dutch traders who came to Pekan, which is also noted here, Jacques de Coutre. So he came to Pekan, and when the king learned of his arrival, he was accompanied to the palace, and then he came bearing gifts to the king itself before continuing his journey. So it's convenient for the traders because it's where the rulers are, and then it's also the trading port. And yes, a little bit on Pekan as a port city. This is not just limited to Pekan in Pahang itself. The affinity for rivers has long been established in the Malay world, or even in the wider civilization, global civilization in general. So, for example, I'm sorry, the picture is a bit blurry, but you have Kota Baru located near Sungai Kelantan, Kuala Terengganu located near Sungai Terengganu, Pekan in Sungai Pahang, Kota Tinggi in Sungai Johor, and then you have the Malay capital of Sri Menanti in New Zealand located near to Sungai Serting, in Sungai Klang, and then of course Kuala Kangsar, very close to the banks of Sungai Perak. And then in Kedah, you have the Malay capitals located in Sungai Merbok, and then they moved to Sungai Mas and also Lembaga Sungai Kedah. So it is not something uncommon for the settlements and also the administration centers to be located to the river banks or the river estuary. And then in fact, obviously, if we think in historical terms, before the existence of cars, trains and everything, rivers are part of the most important communication route. It's mainly where people have to go to transport or move to places. So we have settlements flourishing in these riverbanks because, I mean, if you think in the modern context, we have development projects flourishing in places where LRT stations are. So yeah, you have settlements flourishing where the rivers are. And then apart from rivers, obviously, Malay archipelago or the Malay world itself, we have a lot of islands which has flourished to become port of call. Back in the days where trade were flourishing here. And I think it's also good to look beyond the idea or the geography of rivers and seas itself. So you have this whole cultural aspect to it, which is merantau, which has also been mentioned by Prof. Murad, where it is not just limited to the geographical stuff, but there's a whole cultural or spiritual aspect related to like rivers and seas in the Malay history. All right. So, Pekan in Pekan is located in Pahang, but I think I need to give a little bit of context of what it means in historical terms. So this is also a quote by Jacques de Coutre. Right, it is not anymore. So he says that Pahang is a small kingdom. It has no more than a single city which bears the same name. So Pekan itself used to be known as Pahang. So if you see old maps, they would usually have different boats that you need to use on different parts of the river. So you have Hulu, Hilir, and Sungai, and also Laut. So these are the different things that because you can't use the perahu that you use in the river to go to the sea, because there are different currents and maybe there's different size of the hulu and everything and so on. So these things are being mentioned in the manuscript. So it shows this local genius aspects in this sailing skills. And apart from that, you also have we can also see the openness of the rulers and administrators, and we can see that through the different goods traded by the foreign traders in Pahang. So because there are different goods, so these goods must have come somewhere for it to be exchanged with the goods that we have in Pahang. So it shows that the rulers themselves are open to receiving these traders to come and redistribute and also to exchange their things with the sources that we have in Pahang. So some of the sources that we have back in the days, or some of it are still here now, are gold, tin, agarwood, kelembat, ivories, and also camphor. And of course, this is not limited to just the ones listed here. And apart from the use of traditional boats or perahus in trade, there are also mention of the use of the perahu and traditional boats in wars and royal ceremonies as well. So you have the mention or the record of the use of perahu when Sultan Mahmud Shah sent their assistance to Sultan Johor. And then it was also used in the Perang Saudara and Perang Kelang. And then in the royal ceremonies, there's the use of gurap and penjajab in Istiadat Menam Batu, ordered by Sultan Iskandar Sani for his family in the 17th century. And then you have the appointment of Raja Haji Yang di-Pertuan Muda Riau. So he had to sail to Pahang in order to be appointed by the Bendahara, who was in Pahang in the 18th century. And then in the 19th century, you also have the mention of perahu and penjajab in the royal wedding of Sultan Zainal Abidin of Terengganu and Tengku Ampuan and Tengku Long of Pahang. So it's not just limited to just trade itself. These things are being used by the commoners, foreigners, but also the royals themselves in the royal ceremony back then. All right, so moving on to the other aspects of the tangible heritage of Pahang history, apart from the colonial records, we also have a lot of archaeological findings in Pahang itself. So we have records of the port, evidence of the ports, and also shipwrecks that we have in Pahang. So I'm just going to go quickly because I can see the time is going down. We have the Pontian shipwreck currently exhibited in the archaeology gallery. So this, I believe, will be further expanded by Dr. Jelani about the Pontian shipwreck. But we have this exhibited in the archaeology gallery. It's one of the oldest shipwreck vessels found in Southeast Asia because based on the radiocarbon dating, it's 1,600 years old. And apart from being laden with Funan-style pottery, it shows that the ship itself or the perahu itself has a Southeast Asian shipbuilding technology where they use all these dowels to build them and not using any nails. And then we have the Royal Nanhai collections in our collection as well. So we don't have the shipwreck itself, but we have the trade goods or the ceramics that were traded in this Royal Nanhai shipwreck. So this ship was carrying 21,000 sea Sachalanai Sadon from Thailand. So it's possibly en route from Ayutthaya or to Sumatra or Java. But as it is similar to Perahu Pontian, where it is made of the same wood, Merawan wood, although there is some use of bolts and nails in the construction of the ship as well. So we have this collection, some of the collection, not all of them, in Muzium Pahang. And then we have the Penjom shipwreck, which is the most recent findings. So you have this basically tells a lot about the mining history in Pahang, because Penjom is one of the places where there's like a lot of sources of gold. We have gold mining activities going on there. So as you can see from the map itself, Penjum and Sungai Semantan Company was established in Penjum, and they have their own steam launch operated. And then Tioman is part of the important ports of Pahang and one of the important cultural heritage that we have in Pahang. So this particular island, it was the collecting center of a range of local products. We have a few villages, but Teluk Nipah and Kampung Jara was known to be the collecting, one of the samples of the collecting center that used to be there. It was also the departure points for products that are being carried to Pahang. And the interesting thing is that people come to Tioman not because of the resources that they have, because they don't have a gold mine or anything like that, but they actually come there for the natural resources. So because of the fact that they have fresh water, natural harbors, so people actually come there to stop before they continue their journey, and also because of the resources that are being collected and redistributed at the port. So some of the things that we have in Tioman, we have a huge collection of ceramic from Tioman. This particular one is from the Ming Dynasty. Because of the color and the motif itself, it is believed to be a diplomatic gift because usually the normal kilns wouldn't produce something as intricate as this one. So this is from the 15th century. And we also have other artifacts, ceramics from Tioman. So we have the Celadons from Chinese, the Khmer ceramic, we have Dewa and Kimbai ceramics, and the Vietnamese ceramic as well. So there's a huge collection of ceramic from Tioman in our museum. And then we have Kuala Pahang as a port of Pahang. How do we know this? It's from the records that we have that mention Kuala Pahang as a port, but also there's also the findings of ceramics in Kuala Pahang. So there's that jarlet from Tang Dynasty, which was found in Kuala Pahang, and there was also mention of Kuala Pahang as the basis of natural ports before the existence of piers, and then even history of Pahang itself recorded the arrival of these transports in Kuala Pahang and the mention of import and export. Right, we have talked a lot about ports of Pahang. Pekan is a port city itself, but I think it's worth mentioning about one of the other things that we have in the archaeological aspect. We actually have these findings of Chinese gravestones that we found in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, in the compounds of Istana Mangga Tunggal and also Kampung Pancur. So these sort of shows the connections or the links that we have with the Chinese traders. So they actually come and settled down there, and then we actually have like there's like a burial or settlement of where we found this Chinese gravestone. So this is yet to be researched. There needs to be more findings and research on this one. So yes, but there is a relationship between these Chinese tradings with Pekan as a port city. And then you have the intangible aspects of the heritage itself. So apart from the tangible things, I think it's interesting to note that with the concept of merantau, speaking of the concept of merantau, this traveling exercise is something that is one of the important elements of the intellectual tradition of Islam itself. So people back in the days have been traveling to many places, writing travelogues and accounts of these places, and enable other people to actually travel and know more about the geography of the world in the older days. So this sort of like intangible things is something that also need to be highlighted. We wish to highlight this in the gallery as well, and that includes the development of cartography, because obviously without these maps back then, people wouldn't know how to travel, and then so the development of this cartography and maps are the ones that enable people to actually travel to long places. Right. And of course, one of the important parts of the gallery is the presentation of the shipbuilding technology. We have a lot of exhibition. We have a lot of artifacts to exhibit in terms of the traditional boats. But I think it's interesting to note that the construction of this shipbuilding technology itself is something that has been recorded even in the Quran. So you have things as detailed as the construction of ship from planks and nails being recorded. So it's part of like the riverine civilization that we need to highlight, because without ships or without shipbuilding, you can't actually explore or actually conduct maritime culture as part of your daily lives. So we have a lot of traditional seagoing and river boats as part of our collection. And then We also wish to highlight because these things, they highlight the local genius of the local community. So there's like these different components, and more importantly, the decorations like the bangau, okok, and chaping, which is decorative, but also it has its own philosophy behind their function as a decoration to the ship itself. And then we have, we'll include some things on the shipbuilding tools and processes as well, but I believe this will be further explained by the more expertise in the hall. So, but yeah, because these things, they highlight the, like I mentioned, the local genius. So we have these skills that that is not easily being passed down to generations. It is not something that you can just like document and then write in a book and then pass it to another person. It requires some sort of like, intricate, I guess, some genius level for you to be able to float a boat and be able to make like really, really intricate calculations to be able to like create a traditional boat itself. Right, so I hope so that's basically what we have, the components that we wish to include in the narrative of Muzium Pulau Beram. It is hoped that this kind of provide a framework for what we're going to present in the Muzium Pulau Beram itself, and of course, it is. We're looking forward to the presentation and sharings and insights by the presenters today and tomorrow, so that we can actually instill the sense of appreciation or uphold the maritime or cultural identity as we present this museum to the public. And with that, I think I would like to thank my director for the opportunity to be here, and then thank you to my colleagues as well because this is like a collective and collaborative effort of compiling this presentation as well. So thank you so much, and we hope to look forward to listening to all the sharings and presentations for today and tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.